Hi students, welcome to VerandaRace, and in today's session we are going to discuss the editorial of 22nd March. So let us start the session today. I'm late today because of some technical reasons. Let us start today's session. Well, so the today's session title is a default choice. So in choosing to retain Nongothobom Biren Singh as the Chief Minister of Manipur, the Bharatiya Janata Party has decided to go with continuity in a state where only one former Chief Minister, that is Okram Imbobi Singh of the Congress, had managed to carry on after a full 5-year term. So this till now the author says that the BJP's decision to retain Nongoth Obom Biren Singh as the Chief Minister of Manipur, BJP's decision, BJP has decided to go with continuity in a state where only one former Chief Minister, that is Okram Imbobi Singh of the Congress, had managed to carry on after a 5-year full 5-year term. This should not come as a surprise, even though there was speculation. Speculation means what? Guesswork. So this should not come as a surprise, even though there was a guesswork in the run-up to the announcement that other contenders had thrown their hats into the ring. Thrown their hats into the ring means what? It means when somebody announces in the ring that they will try to win the game, that's known as throwing their hats into the ring. So every contender announced. So this should not come as a surprise, even though there was speculation in the long run up to the announcement that other contenders had decided or announced that they are also going to win the game. It was under Mr. Singh's leadership that BJP not only increased its seat share in Manipur Assembly from 21 in 2007 to 32 in 2022. So Mr. Singh, that is Nongthombam Biren Singh's leadership, caused BJP to increase its seat share in Manipur Assembly. In 2017 it was 21 and in 2022 it was 32, but had also managed to weather several storms while running a minority government in the last 5 years. So weather several storms means to face difficult situations while running a minority government in the last 5 years. So unlike 2017, which means not like what happened in the 2017, when the BJP formed the government in dubious circumstances. Dubious means doubtful. Dubious means doubtful circumstances. The Congress had emerged as the single largest party with 28 seats. At that time, in 2017, the ruling party had a clear-cut majority on its own this time. So the ruling party means the BJP had a clear-cut majority on its own this time. Besides, means in addition to this, the BJP government has received post-election support from the Janata Dal United and Nagaland People's Front with 6 and 5 MLAs each. So 6 MLAs from Janata JD United, JDU, and 5 MLAs from Nagaland's People's Front. So what does the author want to say? So author wants to say that it is because of Nongthombam Biren Singh, the Chief Minister of Manipur, the BJP has been able to retain its position in the Manipur because Mr. Singh's leadership had caused the number of seats to increase from 21 in 2017 to 32 in 2022. But it has also helped BJP to face difficult times while running a minority government in the last 5 years. Besides, in addition to that, the BJP government has received post-election support from JDU and Nagaland's People Front with 6 and 5 MLAs each. Okay. The clear verdict from the electorate. Electorate means what? Electorate means the people who are supposed to vote for a particular in a particular election from a fixed region. That's the total number of people who are supposed to vote are known as electorate. So the clear verdict from the electorate this time should help Mr. Singh run a stable government free from shenanigans. Shenanigans means dishonest activities. Okay. So Mr. Singh ran a stable government free of the shenanigans that dominated his previous tenure. So in his previous tenure, there were very dishonest means and dishonest activities that took place. So this term, he has got a clear verdict, and that should help Mr. Singh run a stable government free from any dishonest activities that dominated his previous tenure. Mr. Singh also ran a spirited campaign to secure an electoral majority for the BJP. Mr. Singh did a very spirited canvassing. Spirited canvassing means full of energy, vigor, enthusiasm to secure an electoral majority for the BJP with some of his initiatives such as go to hills and go to villages. These were his initiatives, and through this he won a majority for BJP, bearing fruit. The stable majority should give Mr. Singh the ballast. The ballast means what? In any ship, to make it concentrated at one point and balanced, a ballast is used, which is a very heavy kind of metallic piece. Inside the ship it is kept, or in a rocket also, to give it a balance, right? So the center of gravity should be the lowest. So the stable majority should give Mr. Singh the ballast to focus more on governance and address the immediate needs of the state. So if Mr. Singh has got a stable majority, he should focus on governance and address the immediate needs of the state. Okay. Manipur has a higher literacy rate, 79.85%, compared to the country's average of 74.04%. Besides achieving a medium human development index of 0.697 as of 2019. So in 2019, the medium human development index of Manipur was 0.697, and the literacy rate was 79.85%, which is much beyond the country's average 74.04% literacy rate. Only Sikkim and Mizoram have better indices in the northeast. Sikkim and Mizoram have better indices. Better indices means better numbers in the northeast. But chronic unemployment, especially of the youth, remains a key concern that needs to be tackled by the government. Okay. The recurring border conflicts in villages in Manipur and Nagaland with strikes and blockades, there are recurring, means always happening, the border conflicts in villages in Manipur and Nagaland with strikes and blockades. Blockades means disruptions. Okay, need to end quickly, and the majority government will be better placed to address this ticklish problem. Ticklish problem means any problem that is very difficult but needs a careful attention, that needs a delicate attention, is known as a ticklish problem. Okay, moving ahead. While the BJP remains silent on the Unpopular Armed Forces Special Powers Act, the BJP remained silent on the Armed Forces Act during the election and still managed to win handily. Handily means very easily in the state. It cannot assume that the electorate agreed with the views of the union government. So the electorate means the people who voted did not agree with the views of the union government and the party on the act. They maybe gave the vote because of Mr. Singh. This could come up as a problem yet again. As for the weakened opposition, weakened means very weak opposition in the state, the BJP's facile victory opens fresh challenges. Facile means superficial. It's a superficial victory, the author says. So as for the weakened opposition in the state, the BJP's superficial victory opens fresh challenges for the Congress's beleaguered leadership. Beleaguered means in a problem, in a serious problem. Beleaguered leadership, even as smaller parties such as the National People's Party have tried to warm up to the BJP by offering outside support. So what has happened? The BJP's superficial victory has opened up fresh challenges for the Congress problematic leadership, even as smaller parties such as National People's Party have tried to warm up the BJP by offering outside support. Manipur is a vital border state. It's a very important border state with a history of extremism. Extremism means when fanatics or chauvinist people or bigots, when they focus on one obsessed idea, that's known as extremism. And ethnic violence whose embers remain. Embers means the last piece of a coal or a wood in a fire is known as embers. So Manipur is a vital border state with its history of extremism and ethnic violence whose embers remain. While a stable government is best placed to work out a lasting peace and focus on livelihood issues, while a stable government, so a stable government is best placed to focus out a lasting peace and focus on livelihood issues, it will be in the opposition's best interest to keep the government on its toes by acting maturely. So now it's the role of the opposition, how it handles the ruling party, ruling government, and keeps it on its toes, means keeps it on its check whether it's doing properly or not. Okay, let's revise from the first passage. So in choosing to retain, means in the BJP's decision to retain Biren Singh as the Chief Minister of Manipur, the party has decided to go with continuity in a state where only one former Chief Minister, Mr. Okram Ibobi Singh of Congress, had managed to carry on a 5-year plan. So this should not come as a surprise, even though there was a guesswork in the run-up of the announcement that the contenders had thrown their hats into the ring. So there was an announcement that all the contenders had said that they will win the game, win the election. It was under Mr. Singh's leadership that BJP not only increased its seat share in Manipur Assembly in 21 in 2017 to 32 in 2022, but also managed to face difficult situations during the BJP regime. Okay. So in 2017, BJP government has had dubious circumstances, and the Congress has emerged as the single largest party with 28 seats in 2017. The ruling party had a clear-cut majority of its own this time, but besides, the BJP has received post-election support from JDU and Nagaland People's Party with 6 and 5 MLAs each. So the clear verdict from the electorate, so the electorate means the people who have voted have told this time that Mr. Singh should run a stable government free from the shenanigans, means dishonest activities, as it had the previous time. Mr. Singh also ran a very energetic campaign canvassing to secure an electoral majority for the BJP, with some his initiatives like Go to Hills and Go to Villages bearing fruit. So his initiatives like Go to Hills, Go to Villages gave a very positive result to the elections results. Okay. The stable majority should give Mr. Singh the ballast. Ballast means the focused metallic thing that concentrates the balance of an object towards its base, so that it does not get the balance does not get disturbed. Okay. So the stable majority should give Mr. Singh the ballast to focus more on governance and address the immediate needs of the state. Very good. So Manipur has the highest literacy rate, higher literacy rate like 79.85% compared to country's average of 74.04%. But only Sikkim and Mizoram have higher indices in the northeast. But chronic unemployment, especially of the youth, remains a key concern that needs to be tackled by the government. And the recurring border conflicts in Manipur and Nagaland with strikes and blockades need to end quickly, and a minority government will be better placed to address this very delicate problem. Okay. While the BJP remained silent in there was an Armed Forces Act. So BJP remained silent on the unpopular Armed Forces Act during the election, but still managed to win easily in the state. But it cannot assume that the electorate, means the people who have voted, will agree to the views of the union government on the Armed Forces Act and the party on the act. This should come as a problem yet again. And as for the weakened opposition of the state, BJP's superficial victory opens fresh challenges for the Congress problematic leadership, even as smaller parties such as National People's Party have tried to warm up to the BJP by offering outside support. So Manipur is a very vital state with its with a long history of extremism and ethnic violence. What is ethnic violence? Killing or beating a certain class of or race of people whose embers remain. Embers means the last piece of a coal of a fire, like coal, or a last piece of wood which is a part of the fire, is known as embers. So while a stable government is best placed to work out a lasting peace and focus on livelihood issues, so a stable government is expected to work out a lasting peace and focus on livelihood issues. It will be in the opposition's best interest to keep the governments on its toes by acting maturely. I hope you enjoyed the session a lot, students. Thank you so much for being with me. Thanks a lot.